Nilkant, if you look back, everything we've covered, right? There is a lot of tailwind of just, last 30 years of steady progress. A lot of things are changing and improving on ground, from road network to electricity, mobile phones. This huge demographic dividend that's definitely there for next, 10, 15, 20 years. Lot of overall public policies more and more in tune with both development and to a large extent inclusive. I know there are pitfalls and job creation is a huge area of concern, probably few others. But if we just zoom out, and there is, this whole now almost like crescendo of, this century of India is building. Just from your vantage point, and you are a nuanced person, look at everything. But if you really zoom out, and how much credence you give to the fact that, it is likely to be India's century, or next 25 years being, Amrit Kaul, maybe, we'll complete 100 years of independence in 2047. Just for a young Indian, how should we think about, India of next 20, 25 years?
See, a lot of the change, and which is why several times in our conversation, I have highlighted the importance of ambition, of a vision, of a plan. And the fact that there is this momentum building up itself is an advantage, right? So it is no longer, so no procurement manager will be questioned now, why did you move to India? Right? And so if you think about human behavior or behavior of global boardrooms, and I think India becoming a lot more acceptable is something that I think is great, and that itself makes it more sustainable. So there are many of these, as you study economics, you realize these virtuous cycles. Because everyone is doing it, it happens. But at the same time, I think we need to be aware of some of the pitfalls and risks. The first is that we are still dependent on imported energy. Most large subcontinental-sized economies, in their growth, have had access to almost unlimited domestic pools of energy.
Right.
US, Russia, China. Right. And they learn to use that energy a lot better. I think the problem in India is that India does not have access to this energy, and therefore if global energy prices start becoming very volatile, this will create problems for India. So that's a big vulnerability that I think of. I think in the next 10-15 years we'll be able to solve it. We should be able to solve it. The second, I think, if you're thinking 25 years, we need to make sure that there is no disruption to the political consensus that is emerging. Right. So I think the big change has been that I think the deep state in India and the political establishment have realized that the only way to stand up to bullying neighbors is to become strong yourself. In many ways, this is very similar to what I think China went through in the 70s, where USSR and Japan and Korea were all growing very rapidly. And they realized that they needed to become economically strong. And I think India is also realizing that. So the political consensus is now, or the deep state's conviction has shifted. And just like, you and I developed an environment, and then similarly, a lot of the present day bureaucrats, where they are starting to see the merits of a more open, and so there's this consensus building up. We need to be very careful about when this consensus breaks down, and what can make this consensus break down. And another big challenge for us, I think, is allowing decontrol to happen. You scaled up. I mean, unless you delegate and you authorize, it's not going to work. And India is just too large, right? So districts in UP are bigger than provinces of Indonesia, right? And no one talks about federalism within UP. And now, I think at least some visionary politicians have started talking about how districts need to identify what they're strong in and start investing in them, because these are very large districts. There needs to be some political shift. So just like, state governments are thankfully now setting up like, $1 trillion GDP targets and all that. now it's a matter of, I think in the next 5-7 years, we should see the state governments willingly ceding some administrative control, fiscal resources with local governments and districts. Otherwise, I think sustaining this level of growth will be very hard.
No, amazing. I think this is I think we can keep talking about this topic. I think but it's just fascinating. We live in very interesting times. I think a lot of, once in a lifetime kind of events have kind of conspired together to put us in this situation.
Yes.
Opportunity is very genuine, real,
Totally.
humongous. I think kind of likely growth we'll see in our lifetime. We'll see transformation in India from what it is today to probably something that's very important at a global scale. There are pitfalls, risks, and so on.